Hi, I'm Trisha Morris at Glove Scrap. Welcome to your Take Flight Card Kit Workshop. We are going to have a lot of fun creating a dozen cards together. Before we get started, just want to mention I've got my instructions printed. You can follow along easily from a tablet or even your phone if you would like, because I will be walking you through all the trimming process, and then you can just consult the images for the final assembly as you go along. I also have my accordion pocket file handy. This keeps us organized, sorting all the pieces out into 4 different piles, one for each card style. That's 3. Then the 4th pocket, labeled D, will be used to store anything I didn't officially use, so I can access it later if I want to further embellish my cards. If you don't have this, no problem. Just maintain 4 separate piles. You can label them A, B, C, and D if you like. And for now, I'm going to put the little front lip of my accordion pocket file under my trimmer base. And now I am ready to get trimming. So I'll set aside all of the goodies that came in the kit and the envelopes. And I find it helpful if we sort the paper into the order that we use it just ahead of time. So I'll take, let's see, one dark blue plain. And when you start to feel this paper, you're gonna really appreciate how beautiful it is. This is really thick and heavy. So one dark blue and then one light blue. Same for this. It's a 100-pound cover weight, so it's very heavy. And then we're gonna go to a dark pink and a light pink, just one of each of those. Next, go ahead and find another light blue, the remaining dark blue, the remaining light pink, and the last dark pink. Find the one sheet of white. Then we'll take both of these prints, and they have just a little small design on them, put them face down. And then the Cutapart that has the 4 boxes with just balloons and no text, followed by the one with all the little squares. We're gonna trim all of that, all at the same time. So get ready. And I know maybe initially, if you're new to this, the trimming might feel a little bit overwhelming, maybe a little bit too fast paced. You can always slow down the playback speed of the videos to match your skill level, but I promise with some practice, you will be able to keep up with me just fine. It'll all make sense to you. So hang in there with me if this is your first time, okay? Now, let's take this piece of paper. We need to determine the grain direction because eventually we're gonna fold this paper, and folding paper against the grain is no fun. It's no picnic. We don't wanna do it. So I'm gonna hold this by an edge and give it a little wiggle, and I'm gonna just study how floppy it feels, okay? I could even push in on it, and I'm going to compare to a neighboring edge. Oh, that's much harder. That doesn't even want to go at all. So I want to hold by this edge, it flops, and insert the paper into your trimmer so that it flops easily from the top to the bottom, okay? Then I'll unlock the blade here, and our first measurement that we need to find is 8.5 inches. So if you're new to the trimmer, just make sure you find the 8, that's inches, not centimeters, and you go left 2 vertical columns, because that's handy to have all these 1/4-inch columns on here. Go left 2 columns to find the 8.5. Before you slice, make sure that you stabilize on the clear bar. Leave the paper where it lands to the right of the blade. Then slide the same piece down to 4.25. And I'm just gonna stack up these 2 pieces that are the same. They're both 4.25. And let's just trim these horizontally at 11. And before I file these 2 card bases, I'm going to set them aside in a separate pile because they need to be scored before we fold them. They don't have to be, but it's nice if they are. The 2 little pieces that fell off the end, I'm going to put those in pocket A, or your pile labeled A. And then the remaining piece I'll trim at 9.5 and 4.75. So here you made 2 pieces that are the same. The 2 nice panels for pocket A, and this last little piece, we're going to use it in B. B as in boy. Now I could have trimmed both of those sheets at the same time, but I just wanted to give you a break with this heavier paper. We'll trim this again the same exact way with the light blue now. So first we need to find our grain. It pushes in most easily this way, so that's how it goes in, flexing from top to bottom. We'll trim at 8.5 again. Always make sure that your paper is resting up here so you get a nice straight angle with the blade, and always stabilize, especially on these heavier papers. Then 4.5, so that's left from the 4, 1 vertical column. we'll stack these two pieces together and trim at 11. And set these larger pieces to be scored in that pile. And then the remaining little scraps in pocket A. And finally, we'll trim this last strip at 9.5 and 4 3/4. Okay, so the two panels that are the same size going in pocket A, apple, and then B, Bravo. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, David. Okay, next we have our dark pink. So we're gonna check the rain again because yeah, this is gonna be folded. So we want it to once again dip from top to bottom. Now it won't always dip that way, but with these sheets so far, yes, they have. And you know that by the indication of the arrow on the diagram here that says the paper should dip easy in that direction. The grain is actually going this way, but I digress. Then we have another sheet of light pink. We're gonna do the same thing with that one. Because these are lighter weight, we can trim them easily at the same time. And our first cut here is at 11.5. Now find the 11, go left 2 columns, 1, 2. Stabilize and slice. Then 9.25. That's 1 column to the left of the 9. And 7. Rotate the 7-inch piece. Let's cut at 10 and 5. These card bases don't need to be scored. Just plop all 4 of them into pocket C, Charlie. And these little guys, believe it or not, I think they're scraps. I'm just going to put those in D. Yes. All right, now we have these 2 strips. The next 2 should be the same size. Let's cut them the same time, once again, at 11. And I want you to file these on the pile, all 4 of them. I didn't realize I was cutting all 4, but yeah, all 4 of them, trimmed at 11, go in the pile to be scored. And I regret to inform you, these little guys are scraps. So you could maybe throw those away. Maybe you might want to keep these, you never know. Put those in D. And we're moving on to yet another new diagram. This is step 3. So we did the dark blue and light blue here, then the light pink and dark pink here. And now we're moving on to the light blue, light pink, and dark pink. All 4 sheets get trimmed the same way. And the grain direction, again, goes north to south. Let's go ahead and give this a shot. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to combine a lightweight sheet with a heavyweight sheet. So let's take this light blue. I know we put things in order, but I can go off script if I want to. And make sure it bends easily from top to bottom. Now I'll reach down and grab the light pink, lighter in weight. Make sure the grain, again, dips from top to bottom. And we're gonna trim at 6 1/4. Now follow along very carefully with all the twists and turns we're about to perform. So 6 1/4, then rotate so that it's horizontal and cut at 9. This piece needs to be scored, both of them. So I'm setting them aside to be scored in that pile. And then these panels go in B, Bravo. Now this is gonna be an adventure, okay? So this piece, I mean, don't freak out, but you know, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna put it in the trimmer horizontally. And let's cut it at 5 1/4. It's kind of a weird cut, 5 1/4. Now take this piece and rotate it 1 turn. So it's horizontal now, and we'll cut at 3. This piece that's in your trimmer base, that gets scored. The piece right now is 3 by 5 1/4. Score that, so that goes in the pile. The piece that fell goes in B, Bravo. This next piece, it's not quite square, is it? I want you to put it in the trimmer so it's vertical. And let's trim at 4 3/4. And this is going to go in pocket C. And this little strip, let's put it in B. Okay, we get to repeat that now. So grab your dark blue. Make sure the grain goes easily from top to bottom. And then your dark pink. Once again, grain top to bottom. Stack it up neatly. And we'll cut again at 6 1/4. That wasn't so bad, was it? If you just follow along with me, it's not too bad. The diagram's a little scary looking though. And then we'll rotate to 9. Okay, so it's the same piece at 9. And this is going to become a card base. So we score it And we have these 2 panels for pocket B, Bravo. And now we take the remaining piece, we'll trim at 5 1/4. Rotate and cut at 3. Place this piece in the pile to be scored. I know it's a small piece, but it's gonna play a fun role. This goes in pocket B, Bravo. This last piece, make sure you rotated it so it's vertical, all right? So the width on it right now is 5 3/4. We're gonna trim it at 4 3/4. This piece goes in C, Charlie, and you have this little strip here. We're gonna use those in B, Bravo. And bravo, you completed page 1. All right, moving on to page 2 with the white now. Make sure it dips easily top to bottom, and we'll trim at 7. Rotate so the piece is horizontal, and we'll trim on the numbers divisible by 3. So that makes it 9, 6, and 3. Gather up the 4 pieces that are the same and place them in the pile to be scored. And incredibly, this is a scrap. I had no need for the rest of that white piece. So it's just white. Use it as a panel to stamp on if you want to. It's a nice piece of paper. All right, for the print here. This one, it doesn't really matter how it goes in the trimmer. We're not going to fold it, and the art doesn't really have a specific orientation. Everything rotates, which is kind of nice on these card kit prints. We'll start at 8 3/4. So 8 plus 1, 2, 3 columns to the left. 8 3/4. 4 1/2. Notice that I always let these pieces pile up until we pick them up and use them, okay? That's the concept. Now we're going to rotate the piece that's in the base, and we'll trim at 9 3/4, 6 1/2, and 3 1/4. That gives us 1, 2, 3 panels the same size for pocket C, Charlie. This little rectangle, I actually found a home for this. We're going to trim it horizontally at 3. And both pieces, I just use them on the inside of the cards in set B. So put those in B. If you're wondering later what that is, just don't even worry about it. But I thought maybe you'd want to know how I trim them. The next piece in that stack, it's 4 1/4 by 12. We're going to trim it at 11. 8 1/4, 5 1/2, and 2 3/4. Gather up all 4 of the pieces that are the same. See Charlie. Lots going in there. And then we have a scrap. Put it in D, just because. Then we have this last strip here. We're going to trim it at 11 1/4. 9 and 4 1/2. The piece that ended in your trimmer, that goes in C, Charlie. The other piece that fell goes in A, apple. And this remaining piece that's the largest goes in B, Bravo, and then that's a scrap. That's a pretty little one. The remaining print here will trim. Again, doesn't matter how it is trimmed. We're not going to fold it later. So the first cut's at 10. 7 1/4. And 4 1/2. Take the 4 1/2 inch piece, rotate it. We'll cut at 9 3/4. 6 1/2. And 3 1/4. You made 3 pieces the same for pocket A. And then this is a scrap. I didn't use it, I don't think. All right, I'm going to take these 2 pieces that are the same. They're 2 3/4 by 12. And we're just going to stack them neatly and cut carefully here, both pieces at 6. And we've got 4 panels for set B, Bravo. And believe it or not, this too is a scrap. I'll pop that in pocket D in case I decide to find a home for it. Now we're on to the Cutaparts. This is a little bit more involved with the trimming because we have to start out by removing the perimeter of the sheet according to those little guidelines. So look for the little plus sign in each corner. That's what you want to line up with your trimmer blade to take it out, okay? All 4 sides, and once you've done that, you're going to have a 12 by 12. So the first cut, I don't worry so much about being perfectly accurate because I'm going to go back and shave off any imperfection in that cut. Now when I make this rotation, I can see the edge of the blade perfectly, both at the top and the bottom of my trimmer. And then I'm going to rotate again and really look at that edge, look at that little hash mark, and take off everything including the mark, okay? And then now that I rotate here, I can look left to find my 12, and it gives me a nice cut, and the same thing on this last little shaving I can take off. And here I have just my little end cuts that you can throw away. To begin trimming this, I want to have the dots on the right edge. We will cut at 11.5. And basically, we're just separating these art elements. Then 8 3/4 and 5. Rotate the 5-inch piece so it's horizontal. We'll cut at 10. 7.5, 5, and 2.5. So gather up those 4 panels that are all the same size, and they go in pocket B. And then you have these little pieces here. These are instructions for your tent card. So trim horizontally at 2.5, and place both of these in pocket C, Charlie. Then you have another strip here. Make sure that the balloons, the balloon shapes are on the right, and we'll cut at 9, 6 3/4, 4.5, and 2 1/4. Again, each individual piece that is the same size here will be used in set C. And then both of these pieces are used in A. If you want, you can just separate them like this at this point, so that they're separate, but eventually you can go back and just follow along the little ghost line that Jacqueline, our designer, added. I love that she does this because it almost looks like a sticker. It actually looks really good. And then you can have this detailed edge, but without having to cut every detail. You know what I'm saying? A on those. Okay, next piece with the little gears on the right. We'll trim at 11, 8 1/4, 5.5, and 2 3/4, giving you 4 panels the same size for card set C. Did it land in there? Yeah, C. Good. All right, the remaining pieces were not used, so I didn't find a home for this guy. You could put him in pocket D if you want. There's almost enough scrap you could actually make, I don't know, kind of a sweet card with some of that stuff. You could even make a card with this. Maybe we'll figure that out at the end. We'll see. All right, then we have the perimeter of this to remove, just like that last cut apart. So I'll go ahead and do that, and you do that. And then we'll be ready to trim our last sheet of paper. Okay, here we start again. Now we've got wings. We're gonna put the wings on the right and trim at 10 1/4, 7.5, 5, and 2.5. I know this is a lot of pieces, and it's just because of this really nifty card we're gonna make. So try not to, get too panicked here. All right, let's go 10. This is nice and easy. 8. Do you know your even numbers? 6. 4. Maybe you don't think about even numbers as much as I do. I think about them all the time. And 2. How can I evenly get all of these pieces? Now, here, I want you to stack them up and just make a little pile, okay? Then grab the next one. We're gonna go 10. 8, surprise, right? 6, 4, and 2, again. Stack these up and put them under where you left off here. Now, here on this one, go 10, 8, And just to avoid confusion, because this happened to me, I'm going to have you pick up the 2 pieces that fell off the end. Those are the instructions for card set C. So take the 2 that say tuck the bottom edge, put those in pocket C, and we'll continue on. We'll go down to 6, 4, and 2. All right, so I'm taking these now, stacking them on the bottom of my pile. So this is kind of going to keep these in order. If you never let yourself go, you'll never know how much you can rise up, up, and away. All right, so that it just keeps all of the sentiments for each card in order. And these are going to go in pocket A. I don't want you to panic about A looking really hard, because I'm going to break it down for you. It's going to be super easy. Make sure the gears are on the right on the next strip. 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, 2 3/4. Okay, the 4 that are the same, those are the fronts for card set A, and then this can be, oh, bye-bye. Now, here, I did something a little different. This was based on a member request, and I thought it was really clever after I kind of thought about how I could execute the idea. But I have a bunch of assorted sentiments here. I have a congratulations. I have a sorry. I feel better. Get well. You know, that kind of thing. All these sentiments are designed so that you can customize any combination of sentiments on the card set B. Okay, then these are little decor that we're going to use for A. So I'm going to put up, up, and away on my right. You could leave this all together in a strip, but I'll separate them by trimming every 1/2 inch. So 11 1/2, 11, 10 1/2, 10. We'll keep going for a bit. 9 1/2, 9. Now things change. 8, 7, 6, and 5. This wasn't too bad, was it? Then with scissors, I'll come in and separate my wings, because those will be used in 2 different cards on set A. And now you have this whole conglomeration of proposed sentiments for card set C. I'm sorry, B. Put it B. Put this in pocket B. This is good, because now we're finished with trimming, and I'll set my trimmer aside. I still have my accordion pocket file here, and just be aware that your trimmer was holding it up, so just be careful about, you know, what you do with it. I like to lay it on its side once I'm done with my trimmer. In here I have my score pal. I'll grab my little metal tip stylus with a round ball I like for scoring, and we're going to go back and score all the stuff we set aside in that pile, and then put it in the proper folder here, in our file in our folder. So this first piece now is 3 inches by 7, and I want you to place it vertically into the score pal, and we'll score it at 1 1/2, so right down the middle. Now earlier, when we put this in the trimmer, again, that's 1 1/2 for each of these, just keep going. Earlier, we gave consideration to the grain direction, which is going to make folding this much easier than it would have been if we hadn't. All of these are used in set A. That's going to become your pop-up mechanism. Now, my next thing on my stack, I don't know about you, but this is next for me, are these little guys. And I'm going to see if I can find the other pair of the little guys. Okay, these are pretty small. And we're going to score them at 2 1/4. So make sure it's in there horizontally. Score at 2 1/4. Okay, now bear with me. 4 5/8. So here's 4 1/2. So that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're 1 notch to the right of the 4 1/2. All right, that's 1. We need to do 3 more. So again, that's 2 1/4, 4 5/8. 2 1/4, 4 5/8. 2 1/4, 4 5/8. It's a weird measurement. It's the only weird one in this whole entire workshop. All of these are going to go in pocket C. That becomes the tent for our tent card. Okay, now we have these bigger guys. They're the biggest pieces in this whole entire project. 6 3/4 by 9. Placed in horizontally. We'll go at 4 1/2. So we're just scoring this right down the middle. Again, 4 1/2. We did pay attention to our grain direction this time. So scoring isn't imperative, but with heavier papers like this, ooh, I really like to score and fold with the grain. These all go in pocket B, Bravo. Now we have these narrow strips in light pink and dark pink. So this is kind of different. We're going to score at 2 3/4 and 8 1/4. And then flip the paper bottom to top and score at 5 1/2. Let's do that again. 2 3/4, 8 1/4, flip from bottom to top, 5 1/2. Let's do it 2 more times. Lots of review. 2 3/4, 8 1/4, flip bottom to top, 5 1/2. One last time. 2 3/4, 8 1/4, flip, 5 1/2. And this is just simply preparing the way for good scoring practices for the functionality of this piece here. That's going to go in pocket A. Next up, we have our card bases for set A. This is going to be nice and easy now. We put it in horizontally, so it's 11 by 4 1/2 here. We'll score it 5 1/2 on each one. 5 1/2 right down the middle. Nice heavy card base here for this super fun pop-up card we're going to make, explosion card. Okay, so all of this goes in pocket A, and we are ready to go. Now I know that's a lot of tedious work just to make a card, but you know, we're making 12 cards, and all of the trimming and prep is done. Now we just can enjoy ourselves and put these together. Let's begin by removing everything that we so carefully and lovingly placed in pocket A. And I find it always helpful to just take a moment and organize myself a little. So we've got our card bases. We've got these long pieces. We've got these white pieces, 4 square sentiments, a really healthy stack of all these little rectangles, our little balloons and wings, some little strips. We've got our printed panels, and there's more little strips in here. Okay, so I think we're safe to maybe do a little bit of folding. Let's just fold these card bases, shall we? We'll look for the bump of the score line, and then that goes on the inside of the fold. I do like to review that every time I do a class, because there's my bump. A lot of people feel that it's the opposite, that the bump goes on the outside. That's the correct stationer's way. Even Hallmark does it this way, is that the score line goes on the inside of the fold. It makes a much better looking crease, both inside and outside of the card, okay? Just trust me on it. If you don't believe me, you know, oh well. Okay, let's take a light blue and then a dark blue, and the fold is on the top. Another light blue and a dark blue. Each card will receive one of these white pieces, and then we'll do a dark pink, a light pink, a light. I'm just going to fold this in the middle so it's not so big and unruly, burying the bump of that score line, okay? You'll have all the knowledge you need to finish all of these, and then we'll put the dark pink on this last one here. Okay. Then the opposite color of this little strip. So if the card base is light blue, then it's going to be dark blue, light blue, dark blue, light blue. Each card gets a plain panel. Again, the opposite color of the card base. So dark blue, light blue, dark blue, light blue. Each card gets a printed panel. Each card gets a sentiment for the outside. We'll do this happy birthday, happy anniversary, and life is like a balloon. Let's see, for the inside, I'm going to do a wing, a balloon, and a wing. Finally, we have our sentiments. If you never let yourself go, you'll never know how much you can rise up, up, and away. That's for the last card in the set. Life is like a balloon. All of that goes with that. Here's to a year filled with joy, laughter, and breathtaking views. That's a happy birthday. Here's another one. Here's to a year filled with joy, laughter, and breathtaking views. That's this one. And another year of sharing life's ups and downs together. This is the anniversary card. How fun is that? Next, I'm reaching for my envelopes. These are the smallest size envelopes that came in the kit. And I'm just going to take all of the goods in the fourth pile and put them in the envelope like this. Then everything is ready to go to assemble this card once you learn how all of this comes together. And you're just going to love it. It's so deceptively easy, right? Okay. It looks like it's going to be hard, so I don't want you to worry. I promise it's not that bad, okay? You're going to be amazed. And you don't need to buy any expensive die cuts or anything like that to make this cool explosion card work. So I'm going to show you where we're headed here. Here's our card, and there it explodes, okay? Isn't that fun? No panicking. I promise. I will walk you through this. It's no problem. Where should we begin? We can work on, let's work on the whole mechanics of the card first, okay? I know that's the opposite kind of how I have the instructions, but oh well. We can finish folding this guy. It's meant to be folded in fourths. So here's a bump right here. I can feel it because I buried the other one that was in the middle. So I'm going to bring back and then flip it and then do the other end up, and then I'll burnish these little folds. So basically we just made like the letter M. Then we have our piece of white paper. I have a little flaw in mine. I knew it all along. I'm happy to have the flawed paper. Besides, we won't even see it anyway. Now take the paper, the white strip, 3x7 I think it is. Place it on your work surface so that the bump of the score line is facing down. And I'm going to switch to a blue surface so we have a little more contrast with our white paper. Okay, then I'm going to take my grid ruler. I have a 2-inch grid ruler. You can use any size grid ruler as long as it's at least 2 inches wide. Or you got to find 2 inches from the edge. If you don't have a grid ruler, you have to measure 2 inches, and then you have to turn your ruler and then put it on the 2-inch mark. So now my 2-inch ruler is 2 inches from the left edge of this horizontal sheet of paper. The indentation of the score line is on top, and the bump of the score line is down underneath. I'm going to take the upper right corner of this piece while I'm putting pressure on this. I'm just going to fold downward so that I'm putting a fold in this paper that's exactly at a 45-degree angle. And you can see it even if I go on my cutting mat here. There's my angle that matches the angle on the cutting mat. It matches the angle on my ruler too. And I'm going to unfold it, okay? Then I'm going to bring this lower right corner up so that the edge of the paper kind of touches the edge of the ruler. Now this paper really should be a text weight paper. I should have just given you a text weight paper, but I didn't. I give you this nice paper. But you can do it. Okay, so now X marks the spot. We have a nice X in the middle of our paper. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'm going to flip it over and I will fold to bury the bump of the score line. Okay, so now I have a mountain fold in the center and I have an X-shaped valley fold here. I'm going to place it on the middle of my work surface, kind of like a tent. Okay, the mountain is facing up. Now at the center, I'm going to push down. And then do you see how the ends popped up? Then take the ends in the middle and bring them together so they touch. So they touch each other. And then I'm going to just lay it down and flatten. And we have just created the most adorable little house. There's my little house. Okay, perfect. Burnish them a little. And then that's what's going to make this piece pop up, okay? So now I'm going to bring in my card base, and I haven't determined the front and back yet, which is great. That's nice and easy then. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to have my bookbinding glue and a needle tip applicator. I'm going to have that ready to go, okay? Because I'm going to use some glue in this, and I'm going to use a pencil to do a little bit of planning. So basically now I'm just going to temporarily position this. So here's my card. There's the crease, and the point of this is right kind of in the middle of my card. I'm eyeballing that, okay? I don't want it past the fold because otherwise my card won't open and close easily, okay? So that's the first eyeball we want to make. Now, we have this nifty little piece, and we want to make sure Do you see how this has two folded ends here? And down over here, we've got a free edge, a fold, and a free edge. I want to hold it so that these two mountain folds get tucked between these two flaps of my house. So one's in the front and one's in the back. And then I want the bottom edge of this to be centered with the bottom edge of the card. Okay, so I've got my point, I've got one under, one over, and then this is centered. Okay, so with my pencil, I'm going to mark where this overlaps, where this white flap overlaps the accordion folded piece. And I'm going to pull up, take my glue. You could use any of your favorite adhesive here, but some two-way tapes that I see people use aren't very strong, and this glue is strong. And then I'm just going to, so I put the adhesive there, put this back down. I moved it up a little bit. Okay, and then now I'm just gonna, that's gonna adhere right in that spot. Next, I'm gonna take some adhesive and I'm gonna put it onto the peak of the house. So this triangular shaped area gets the glue, and then I'm gonna close the card over that. Just give it a second and then flip. I hope this isn't too bad. This is very doable. I've taught this in a class, actually, like at an expo. If I can do it there, you can do it here, okay? Now, I'm gonna mark again. It's basically the exact same thing that just happened on the other side. We're gonna repeat that. So I'll add the adhesive into the area that this overlaps. Then I'm gonna add it to the peak of the house. And close the card. Give it a little burnish and give it a second, okay? Now, while that's just sitting there, okay, I'm gonna take the sentiment. This is pretty easy. You can use some foam adhesive circles. I love these. I know you know that I love these if you've been taking classes with me for any length of time. I'm a big fan because they have these cute little pull tabs. And they come right off. It's so handy. Okay, and you can center this on the printed panel. All right, now I'll take some ribbon. You can use your favorite color. I'm going to use this soft white. I varied it up a little bit. This is the only one that I did that was white satin here. And I'm going to trim two lengths that are a little wider than the card. I'll have some tape handy here. So I'm going to take one length and I'm just going to stretch it across the card at a nice angle. Bring it around to the back and secure the ends with my tape. Then the other piece, I'll get my tape ready. One. See, my tape is like my third hand. I've got one hand holding down this card. I've got that same hand holding the tape in place while I dispense it. Okay, I'm gonna make an X. Do you see the X? Wrap it around to the back. Okay. Pretty. All right, now I'm gonna adhere this to my panel. So now this time I have my ATG, my other favorite adhesive. I don't use a lot of different kinds of adhesive, maybe 4. I use cellophane tape, my ATG, my bookbinding glue, and an occasional glue line. All right, I can center this right on there. And then maybe we'll even just finish up with this guy. We have these really cool, this is some tulle. Sewn onto it are some chiffon bows. They're just darling. So that's gonna live right there. So maybe I will use my glue line here to add a little adhesive to my ribbon and the paper. And then I'll add my cute little, that's so cute, isn't it? Okay, so now I can come back in and I can add this to my card base on the front. Well, we don't really have a front assigned yet. Let's see, 2 3/4. 1, 2, 3. I need 3/8 of an inch coming from the edge. All 4 sides, actually. 3/8 of an inch. We'll center this. I love to use my ruler to center my panels because otherwise I do that and then I walk away and I come back and it's like crooked. I don't like it when it happens. Okay, let's test our mechanism here. Oh, And there it pops right on up beautifully. Look at that. Boop, boop. Okay, so now we have our sentiments. Here's to a year filled with joy, laughter, and breathtaking views. I love that. I had to do a lot of research this month for the quotes because this one needed like 5 parts. The sentiment on the front and then 4 sentiments for the inside. And it just was a little more research. It took me quite a while. So here's to a year. That's going to get added to this. Now you could add this, maybe I would do that, these sentiments to the panel, but sometimes I just don't want you to get confused about which direction, which sides are going to be exposed, and suddenly you attach everything and realize all the sentiments are on the wrong side. That wouldn't be good. Okay, laughter and breathtaking views. So sweet. People will just be so impressed with you if they get your handmade card and you did it this way. Okay, the final piece is going to be our strip. This would have been a scrap that we trimmed off the end of the other card base. And now we have our cute little wings, and you can follow the shadow, which kind of gives you this nice little perimeter around the art without you having to cut all the detail. I asked Jack to do that, Jacqueline, our designer. I asked her to do that a while ago and she did it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that so much. And now she does it for me all the time. So we can have these little shapes. You know, maybe a lot of you would go and buy an expensive die and a stamp die cut combination and spend all this extra money on something like that when you really only use it a few times. So to me, just the little extra effort to trim it out with scissors is not a big deal. I like that on the inside. Okay, there's your pop-up card, your explosion card. Fun, easy, no expensive tools, no die cuts, just your score pal, your trimmer, and a little clever folding trick with that X that we made at the beginning. There we go. Now the other cards in the set, there's the happy birthday again. Here's the anniversary. I did it with the pink ribbon. And then finally, life is like a balloon. There's your last one. Yay! So you take the remaining 3 cards that you have in your envelopes. You can just pause this and do the remaining of the assembly while all that's fresh in your mind. Or you can just go ahead with me and set these aside and we'll tackle card set B. Let's remove the contents of the pocket labeled B, or find your pile B. And, oh, that's right. We had all those little guys in there. Don't forget about them. Don't lose track of them. Oh, my goodness. Okay, little people, you're going to have to go wait over here till we decide who we're going to use. All right, there you go. Waiting area. Here we have our artwork. We have all kinds of panels in different sizes. Okay, so we got large. We got medium. We got these big guys. These are going to fit. So I'm kind of just organizing them by size. Then we have all these little odds and ends. We got this one and this one and this one. Oh, more little sentiments. They've got these strips and our card bases. Okay, so now that I'm a little organized, hopefully you are too, and you can pause until you are. Find the bump of the score lines and let's fold our 4 little card bases. So I like to use a bone folder to burnish my folds because it makes them nice and crisp. And you'll notice that I'm taking a second also to make sure that the ends line up nicely. Bury the bump. I don't just assume that the score line is perfect because sometimes I might just have it in there a little crooked. And then if I fold directly on the line without aligning first, and then it's not, the ends don't match. And remember, this is the foundation of your card. You want it to be nice and accurate. Okay, so here we go with our card bases now. We will distribute a light pink, a dark blue, let's see, dark blue, yes. Then dark pink and light blue. So pretty. Next, we need from our stack, now we have these larger panels. I'm gonna take those. I have this little one snuck in there. Okay, we're gonna go dark blue. And these are not mandatory color distributions, by the way. Light or dark pink, light blue, light pink. Notice it's different than the card base. Then how about a print? And those are designed to nest perfectly onto those first panels. Okay, now we have another set of panels here. We've got dark pink, light blue is next, light pink, and a dark blue is next. Okay, now we have some artwork we're going to add. How about this balloon that looks like this? And then we have a blue one that has like a sun shape on it, or the fan shape on it, and a clock. And we have the other pink one and the other blue one. Wow, lots of fun things going on here. Each one of these is going to get from your goodie pile one of these sweet little laser cut wings. Fun. Now all the rest of these pieces that we've prepared go on the inside. I guess I'll try to help you distribute that as well. So card one, let's take the strip. It's going to be light blue. And I know the piece is long, but that's okay. We have a plan for it. And then we have dark pink, dark blue, and then we'll put a light pink on this one. Okay, so then there's this small little guy. Then we have a light blue. Here we're going to have the smaller remaining print, and then look at this. This print nests onto the dark blue for this last card here. Then the decisions. You don't have to make these decisions now, but I'm going to make one decision for our first card, or otherwise I'll just distribute what I chose for myself, and you can swap out whatever you want, because remember I said that every card can have its own little sentiment. So for this one, we're going to put the sky is the limit. This is what I did. Thinking of you, wishing you happiness, and so happy for you. Okay. The outside of the card can then be amended any way you wish. So for mine, I put up, up, and away on this one. I put feel better on this one. Congratulations and way to go. But I could have put best wishes here. I could have put so very sorry. I could have put best, you know, you can just interchange them however you wish, whatever your needs are. Okay. I hope you like that. It's kind of fun. Okay, then we have our envelopes now that we have everything distributed. So I'll take this one and plop it in. And this is, I'm using the medium-sized envelopes that came in your kit. I love that we include the envelopes for you. I'm noticing a lot of other like clubs have been looking at what's out there. You don't make 12 cards, and they don't have envelopes either, and they're like way more expensive. Anyway, I'm gonna start out now to assemble this card. It's not very difficult at all. Okay, we'll begin. I'll just go ahead and nest this. I didn't add ribbon to these. I could have, but just didn't. And then I can nest this as well, this print onto the larger panel. I love my ATG gun, and I know a lot of you don't, maybe you're afraid of them because there's the unloading and loading part, and the initial investment is higher than like a little baby tape runner, but man, the value is just incredible when you really think about it. Okay, so I'm going to use my ruler here to help me mount this onto the folded side of the card. This is the fold, and I'm 2 cubes or 1/4 of an inch away from that edge, so I can rest the nested panel onto the ruler and then just have it be level. Okay, then I'm going to center this onto the card. I think on mine I was 7/8 of an inch from the left edge and 5/8 or a 1/2 inch from the other top and bottom edge, so 7/8. See, others I would not have been level at all. 7/8 from the edge of the pink card, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 4/8 up. Now this piece is perfectly centered onto the card. If you're not familiar with 7/8 and a 1/2 inch or whatever, just eyeball it on there. Okay, don't let it keep you from finishing the card. Then I've got my little wings, and I'm just going to snip the wing here. Oh, okay. Then taking the up, up, and away, you can just leave it as it is, or you could do this cute little, I don't know what you would call it, ransom note style thing. So I'm taking scissors and just cutting really close to the individual words, and I'm going to keep up, up as 1. and as one, away as one. Then I'll take the right half of the wing, and I'm going to add my bookbinding glue to this. This is the best way to adhere something little like this. Again, like I said, I've got 4 different kinds of glue. I've got my wet glue, which is my bookbinding glue, which I love so much. And then I've got my ATG, my glue line, and my tape. And that's really pretty much it for the most part. You could ink the edges of these letters. I know some of you are going to have your little ink out and you're going to be inking edges. That's really super sweet. I'm going to put him kind of on the wing. Yes, it could be crooked too. That's going to be kind of cute. I'm going to go with it. And oh, it's so adorable. Up, up. I'm gonna make him go a little crooked too. Up and away. So it's all anchored by the wing, right? Otherwise those letters just wouldn't have anything to cling to. I really like how that comes out. Now on the inside here, I'm gonna take this blue piece, and you see that it's too long. That's totally okay. I'm going to take scissors and just come in here with a little snip and turn it into like a bookmark shape. And I can add this to the edge of the card. Now I'll go about a ½ inch in, and once again using my ruler, because then I can just rest it onto the ruler and I know it's straight and not angling. Now I've got my little mat. It's so cute, right? And then I have this remaining half of the wing. So let's put a little glue on here so we can add him to the inside of the card. That way the whole wing is used. I'm going to place it here. So that it's kind of on top of the print. And then maybe I'll still use my bookbinding glue for this guy as well. Look how it frames that perfectly. Or you could ransom note style that too, you know? Darling, I love it. The sky's the limit. Up, up, and away. This could be for anything. It could be congrats to baby, for a graduate. It could be for a newlyweds. It could be for a shower. You get the idea. Okay, so that was the first card. The second one is like unto it. All right, but it's feel better, and I put the wing up here for some reason. I don't know, it's just what I was inspired to do. Here's our thinking of you on the inside. Here is a congratulations with the wing. Wishing you happiness. Cute. This one, way to go, with the wing midpoint here. And I have no idea where I got this other piece of pink from. No clue. I have you using a light pink on this. So again, cut the little V in there, you're good to go. It all nests in there so nice, and I think this was so happy for you. Again, have fun choosing your own greetings. You've got the other 3 cards to make. You can pause me, or let's go ahead and tackle what's in pocket C. Well, if you've made it this far into the video, congratulations. I'm glad you're still with me. And now I have to share something that I just did. I'm so annoyed with myself. I distributed everything from pocket C onto the 4 card bases. I made the beautiful card, but you weren't there because I forgot to press record. So here I have my finished card, my one finished card. And I have all the rest of the pieces that I took out of the envelopes to help you distribute them. So after you sort all of your little pieces into like sizes, just kind of pretend that I'm giving you the pieces for this card one at a time, and then I'll distribute the rest along with you. So start out with your largest panel from pocket C. That's going to be light pink. That's going to be our first one. Then we're going to go dark pink. Then we'll go light pink again. Making sure, again, it's the largest panel, and dark pink. Okay, so light pink, dark pink, light pink, dark pink. Now we have these next largest panels, okay? So dark blue goes on the first one. That's the one that we would have made together, but we're not going to make it together this time. Too late. On the next one, I want light blue. then dark pink, and light pink. Now you have these little scored pieces. They're really weird at the score to that weird measurement. So the first one is going to be dark blue, the same color as this nesting panel here, then dark pink, light pink. Then you have some printed panels. So of them, there are 2 sets. Grab the largest, and one gets distributed to each card base. Then you have the smaller ones. One of those gets distributed to each card base. Here too. Okay, then you've got your square outer sentiment. We've got 2 happy celebratings, I think. Happy celebrating. And then we'll have a best wishes here, and we'll have a thinking of you here. For the secondary sentiment, we're going to go, let's get carried away and let your dreams take flight, and things are looking up. Finally, you'll want to distribute the inner instructions for the cards to the remaining 3. Of course, they all go here too. All those pieces. So happy celebrating, let's get carried away. Those top 2 instructions are on the inside. Okay, now this is a tent card. That's where we're headed. So the first one is complete. I'll set that aside with an envelope. And then let's make this one together. And then I'll put this one in an NV. And only the other one. It's just two left. So yes, I'm recording. Okay, verified that. Good job, Trisha. Here we go. This is so fun and easy. You're just gonna be shocked at how quick and easily this comes together. Let's start out with, do not nest this onto this just to get that out of the way. I don't want it to happen yet. Let's take our sentiment. Happy celebrating, the square one. And I've got my happy little foam adhesive circles here that I'm going to use. Normally I might take a second and cut these in half because they go a little further. But, you know, since I've already filmed this once, I want to go home. Okay. Either way, I have to do the work, right? I have to finish the cards. That's going to go centered upper. Okay, so margin matches top, left, right. Then I will come in with this darling ribbon. Let's see, should I use the white or I'll use the pink. I haven't used pink yet with you today, so we've used the white on the first card. I'm going to stretch this across and trim a piece that's wider, just wider than the base of this panel. Okay, now we're going to do the little looped ribbon trick. So notice the grain of the ribbon. That's the direction I'm going to fold it in half. And you've created a little fold right here. So line up that fold with the center of your card panel. Then whip those little ends around to the back and take your third hand and tape it. And that's just going to pop out. It's going to look really goofy, right? Then I'm going to take the second piece, make sure you're aware of the grain direction, and loop it through and even out the ends. So you've looped it through the first loop. And then just give it a little tug. Make sure you know how you want your ends to go. I like to have a little bit of separation between the two. Looks so nice. Wrap them around to the back. Okay. Then this gets attached to the left side of the smaller of the 2 larger panels. So I'll grab my ATG and notice that I have a margin top, left, and bottom now. The rest of this is still open. So I'm going to take this piece, this is that scored piece, and I'm going to fold to bury the bump and create a tab. I can also put a nice little crease in that other piece. So this tab hangs from the top edge of the card, and if you kind of center that up, that looks pretty good. So now I can add a little adhesive to this guy, bring him around to the back, and then I can tape the whole thing to the card base. Now that that tab has been hung, it can go on the card base. If you forget and you accidentally nest this first, you won't have a place on which to hang your tent. I've done it. Definitely have done it. Okay, now here we have this guy. So we can center, let's get carried away onto this panel. And because, you know, you did so much of the work ahead of time, this part is so easy. So here we have our tent, right? Do not put adhesive in this area, only this area. So I'll do that. That's your biggest secret right there. Then this centers in. Okay. We have the instructions for the recipient if they don't know what they're doing. Now they're going to know because the instructions fit right in there perfectly. Now we have to have a way to hold this tent in place, and that's going to be where that gear charm comes in. So you just place that right there. If you're too far away, it's not going to hold it. So make sure when you add the gear charm that it is far enough back to support the tent, okay? Bookbinding glue is the best for gluing metal to paper. One of my girlfriends just messaged me recently and said, hey, can I use bookbinding glue to attach this metal thing to this wood thing? I'm like, yeah, it's perfect for that. I love my bookbinding glue. Okay. Once that's dry, that'll hold, but for now I'm just gonna release it and just let it sit while it dries. What's cool about this is the card will mail perfectly flat, but they'll be able to have that dimension for tabletop display. All right, so we made the Happy Celebrating. We've got the other Happy Celebrating that I made when you weren't watching. We've got Let Your Dreams Take Flight. Basically, they're all assembled exactly the same way, and that tent thing works out perfectly if you get it in there at the right angle. It's so much fun. Okay, that's it. That's all I've got for you. Did you have fun? I hope you had fun. If you did, just take a second, leave me a little note, leave me a little joy. These things take time, sometimes even more time than they need to take. And if you're not already subscribed to Club Scrap as a member, well, of course you'd want to do that. And then don't forget to hit subscribe on our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss out on any upcoming workshops. We're releasing stuff all the time. So I look forward to having you in another card making workshop. And if you'd like to take flight, we have pages for this collection as well. They're just darling, so come and check that out as well. I look forward to seeing you again in my next workshop. Until then, stay crafty.